Don't have kids, it's not worth it.
Marriage questions that you secretly ask, and what do they mean? Why couples therapy fail and what actually works.
Labeling your partner, and I'm gonna go with narcissist.
Triggers versus cognitive distortions, guys. Ooh, this might trigger you and put you into your own distortion. Answer the question. The myth about happy wife, happy life, and why it's destroying marriages.
Don't have kids, it's not worth it.
Welcome to the Morrow Marriage podcast, guys. And if you can believe it, my mom told me that while I was growing up and after I was an adult and could really understand, except for it was more like, don't have kids. It's not worth it. What kind of fucking mom says that shit?
A dick.
A dick. See the last episode.
Yes.
All right. Talk about fractured relationship and why I don't speak to my mom or my dad and all the people in my miserable ass family. We just created our own, you know? Yeah. I wanted to bring this up not because I want you to feel sorry for me. You know, I bring this up because I'm hearing a lot lately where people always, we ask you questions about what you want, like how can we implement, how can we bridge the gap from where you're at and where you're struggling, and you always want to go back to some sort of excuse or justification from some sort of trauma. And especially this is so stupid for two sides. One, if you're trying to justify your stupid ass fucking behavior, okay? If I did that, you wouldn't be listening and you wouldn't have a new marriage possibility, okay? The other side is when you're trying to justify your partner and why you're struggling. Listen, I don't fucking care. If you want the award for the worst childhood or the worst relationships with your ex, you can have it. But the reason why we move so many people so rapidly, and I do mean it, rapid, I like rapid, that's the thing I'm known for, okay? Is because we don't sit in our pain. The moment you're like, oh yeah, but my wife, she had an extensive trauma, you literally are holding her to that spot in her life. So everything that you don't like because of that happening, you're allowing. No wonder you're not getting along when you can't move forward, okay? When you do it for yourself, you just look like an asshole who can't take responsibility and they want to call you a narcissist. Like, you just fucking only give a fuck about yourself and you have nothing but excuses, right? Mm-hmm. Reminds me of that good joke that we saw.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Why did the narcissist cross the road? Think about it, guys. Because he thought the line was a boundary, so obviously he had to cross it.
Every time I hear it, I still laugh so much. Oh my gosh. All right. So the problem is, guys, you know, I'm going to go back to, you know, when I was working with Rochter. It's a combination of Dr. Robert Glover. When I was working with Rochter, we were having this talk about our bad behaviors. This is a group call, and we're all talking about some of our bad behaviors. And, you know, because he likes to tie everything to the past and the paradigms you were growing up with, and the programming is what that is, that you were programmed to emulate and evolve with. He likes to tie that to your inner child. And he just looked at me through the camera one day and he was just like, I'll do it for the YouTubers. Why don't you just love Ryan? And I'm like, yeah, I can understand what you're saying, but I fucking hate that guy. Yeah, but if you learn to love him, love that little child. Listen, Ryan, the guy that I used to be that was abusive emotionally, physically in the bedroom, that was rageful, I don't have to love that guy. The trauma and the bullshit that I was taught that I wasn't a good enough person, the man that had to prove everything to Kathryn and destroy her, tear her down, I don't have to love that guy or that little kid. Whereas mom says things like, don't have kids, it's not worth it. And I don't need to give you any more examples. The whole shit show of a fucking upbringing I had was bullshit. And it wasn't even as bad as some of yours, okay? All it did for me was create this life of a man, the next 2 decades of my life before meeting Kathryn and learning to grow up. All it did was make me feel sorry for myself, going to therapy and looking at the shit, trying to justify. Even when I first met Kathryn, your parents did that, that's abuse. And I'd be like, what? Like, because we think abuse is fucking smacking or sexual abuse. You know what I mean? Beating the shit out of, like, you know? And like, you gotta understand, none of that is gonna move you forward. None of the justification, none of the sitting in the pain, none of that. I don't have to love the little child, but what I do need to know is I need to understand and have compassion. And by the way, you can apply this later in life. When you're fucking angry at your spouse because they went through shit, so you stop justifying it and you hold them to growing. When you hold yourself to growing, okay? Now we can look at this different. How about all you hypocritical motherfuckers who sit there and go, I'm gonna, dicks, she says it more softly, but I'm gonna call you out. You hate the behavior of somebody hurting you. You hate it. Kathryn hated the behavior of me hurting her. I get that. But yet you will love the child when you see, wait a minute, you're doing that to that kid? Let me take that child away. Let me save that child. Let me feel sorry and empathize for that child. That child was me. And you didn't give a fuck about me then. Well, you didn't know me. But social media, you see it all the time. And then you look at your partner, you look at them like their asshole upbringing made them this person. You hate who they are. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, compassion, empathy. They came from somewhere. Their trauma came from somewhere. And you empathize with those people when they're going through it, but you don't empathize with the product that created.
You just get angry. You get victimized.
Which is, and you are the victim of the abuse. And so there's logic to that. Of course, it was difficult for me to love him, but the reason that we got through everything was because I started to love him for the little boy that I could see that was damaged and who was hurt, who experienced trauma. But I had to learn to do that. I remember the first time you were sitting in the garage and I sent a text message about the little boy that I could see in you, and he was like, who am I talking to right now? What are you even saying? I've never heard you speak like this. And it was because I shifted from being angry to being compassionate for where he came from. It does not justify the abuse that he inflicted on me.
Absolutely not.
It does not justify the way that he spoke to me. It doesn't justify anything. But if I just want to sit back and just be entitled to good behavior, which I was, by the way, but if I'm only entitled to good behavior and I can't see him for what I need to see him for, which is a little boy that experienced trauma, and have compassion, how can I expect to move forward if he's not capable? If I'm not going to lead and I want to sit back and say, I'm just entitled to my good behavior, show it to me. How is he going to do that when you actually can't love him if you don't see him?
Which is a real part of our story, and it's a massive part of your guys' story. You know, like somebody saying, I tried everything. We heard that again on a call today. Like, I've tried everything. I've already done that when he screams through the door. Like, why don't you try something that might actually work? I mean, you're staying with this person. Let's get fucking real. You're listening to the show. You're not leaving. You're trying to figure out how it's been. Why don't you try what works? I'm not saying, you know, I know I got real passionate, hypocritical motherfuckers, okay? But here's the thing. If you can look at that, I'm gonna fuck this word up, hypocrisy?
That's right.
Okay, I got it. If you can look at that, thank you, baby. If you can look at that and realize, because it's always about who you wanna be. Now we can get passionate about the growth and the change. Now we can understand the difference between that little boy. And be careful if you call your husband a little boy in the wrong context.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna, and the way you
use it
deliver.
as a weapon. Just think about it. Him being a little boy. Don't call him a little boy.
I'll call your husband a boy that needs to grow up, but I'm Cass, okay? I Cass your ass. But here's the thing. If you can shift your mentality on this, it's gonna open up all new avenues. You're gonna see not just your spouse or your children as a new opportunity with the reflection that you can have with them, right? The growth that you can have a connection with them. But you're gonna see everybody around you differently because you don't know what they're going through and you don't know where they've been. So we gotta be very, very careful. If we know that we have a heart and compassion for what we see on social media, or that terrible story from the news, or that big struggle from somebody in your life, and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, then how do we forget that with the most important person in our life? She didn't deserve a fucking lick of what I gave her in the beginning. Or if I did it now. Of course, no one deserves that. But we're here to heal. And if more people were focused on healing in this fucking world, then everybody's marriage would thrive. Because you'd see different examples all the way around you. And after a while of saying this is bullshit, that's a lie, you'll start to go, holy fuck, it's possible. It's like when you come to our event, you see all of us interacting and you watch us just fucking laughing and thriving and using skills, and we use the program with each other, and like, it's fucking exciting and fun. And when people who don't even know us see all of us doing this, it's just like mind-blowing. That's such a tiny little small picture of what, like, just being around us. Imagine if it was everywhere you went. You all can be a part of the movement, but you got to open your eyes and look through them differently.
Preach.
Thank you.
Can I end with something funny?
Yeah.
So you guys know a little bit about me. I don't know how much you know about my need to be grammatically correct, but I'm a very good writer, and I like to be grammatically correct, and I have a really good handle on the English language. So he just said, your guys's. And so my kids will say your guys, and I'm like, your guys's is not a word. It's just your. And so the other day, Vale, did I tell you about this?
I
so
heard
she
you,
said, your guys's is not your guys's, and she goes, oh. She kind of looks around, she's like, all y'all's. And it was so cute.
It was so cute.
Because, you know,
I didn't
we
hear
are
that.
Canadian and we're in Texas. We've been in Texas for 2 years. I couldn't even correct it. If she wants to say all y'alls, I don't care if it's grammatically correct. It's so cute.
So cute. I'll tell you something though, that does get me thinking, because I don't remember ever saying you guys is, hey, let me know if you listen to the podcast for a while, because it would have obviously happened on the podcast.
I don't think you said
but
your
I think
guys'.
I'm picking stuff up from the kids sometimes.
Probably.
Yeah, like, oh my
Probably.
gosh, that's not good. I'm supposed to be the fucking leader.
All y'alls, baby.
All y'all's.
All y'all's
all
relationships, not your guys's.
All y'all's get ready, because we are going to announce the live
All
call-in
y'all get
show.
ready. All y'all.
I'm just being very cute. All y'all's get ready. The live show with 1-888 you love. You can call that number and we'll have you in a queue. We'll be answering your questions. So stay tuned. We'll be announcing it. It's going to be a part of this actual show. And you'll be
Yes,
able
you
to
guys can watch
participate.
it on the podcast, and you can call in and be part of the podcast.
Which means
how cool.
you'll have eternally, forever, your question and your answer right there live on our YouTube channel and with Apple and Spotify and everywhere else we have our podcast. Guys, it's the fastest growing marriage podcast in the world. Thanks for your support, guys. If you haven't, please leave a review. Totally excited to do this for you guys, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.